Okay, ladies and gentlemen, these are the problems that you had today. All right. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want you to concentrate on, we're going to factor these and we're going to graph these, okay? Now, I'm only going to do 3 of these. So, please pay attention and make sure you write these down for your notes tomorrow. All right? Now, first of all, if you're given a problem like this, you've got to make sure that you put them all on the same side. So, I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides, and we get a 3x squared minus 10x minus 8 equals 0. All right, second step, see if there's anything that we can factor out. Does 3, 10, or negative 8 have anything in common? When the answer is no, not at the moment, they don't. So I can't factor out anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Punnett square. Now I know some of you don't like the Punnett squares. That's fine. We'll go over a couple other methods here later. But 3x squared goes in this box. Negative 8 goes in this box. Now, next step is multiply the 3 times the 8, and that is 24. All right, so I need all the factors of 24. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. All right. Now I need the factors of 24 that are going to subtract to give 10. In fact, subtract to give negative 10. And I'm going to eliminate the ones that don't have a difference of 10. So those two, 1 and 24 and 3 and 8, do not have a difference of 10. Now remember, they have to subtract to give me negative 10. And the only two that have a difference of 10 are 12 and 2. 6 and 4 can add to 10, but they can't subtract to give me 10. All right? So 12 and 2x. So 12x and 2x. Remember, there's an x involved in each one. Now, the result has to give you a negative 10. So if you have a 12x and a 2x, how are you going to get a negative 10x? Well, that means this has to be negative. All right, so when you add these, when you combine them, negative 12 plus 2 gives you negative 10x. So the negative goes with the negative 12, or goes with the 12. Okay, now with that being said, now we have to figure out what they have in common. All right, so look at the first column. What does 3x squared and 2x have in common? Well, they both have an x in common. Then look at the negative 12 and the negative 8. They both have a negative 4 in common. Now once we've gone vertically, now we're going to go horizontally. So going horizontally, what does the 3x squared and the negative 12x squared have in common? They both have 3x in common. And we're going to do the 2x and the negative 8. Well, they both have a 2 in common. And what you end up with is 3x plus 2 and x minus 4. And those are our two factors. Now, you can multiply them to double check. So watch. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 4 is negative 12x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Add these two together and you get 3x squared minus 10x minus 8, which is the same thing as our original problem. All right, so we're good to go. So these two are our two factors. Take both factors, 3x plus 2, and put them equal to 0. Minus 2 minus 2. Bring down your 3x. Divide by 3. And x equals negative 2/3. This is one of our roots. Do the same thing with the other one. X minus 4 equals 0. Add the 4 to both sides. X is equal to 4. So by doing that, you're able to show that negative 2/3 0 and 4 0 are two of your roots. Okay? All right. That's problem number 1. Now let's go to a different problem. Let's go to problem number 2, which is right below it. All right? Now in this particular problem, let me go ahead and fold this up so it doesn't get in the way. Okay. All right, so on this problem, notice it's already on the same side. Now, some of y'all were doing the Punnett squares with this today, and that's fine. But really, when you look at this, what do both of these have in common? Well, if you can divide out an x, you will get x minus 2. And now you've already done. This is completely factored. So take both of your factors, put them equal to 0. That's one of your roots, so it goes through 0, 0. And when you add 2, x is equal to 2. So this one's also going to go through 2, 0. So these are your two roots. Okay? That was the easy one. The next thing I want to look at is this last one. Okay? In this particular argument, we'll call this problem number 3. Make sure, now everything's on one side. That's great, so let's just put it in order. 24x squared minus 34x plus 12 equals 0. Now, let's look to see if we can take out anything. Well, the only number that goes into all three of these is 2. So you get a 2 times 12x squared minus 17x plus 6 equals 0. Now, in this particular one, you got to be really careful because that 2 isn't going to go anywhere. So what we're going to factor is this right here. So I'm going to make me a Punnett square. Now, with that Punnett square, I'm going to multiply the 12 times the 6, and that is 72. So I need all the factors of 72 that add to give 17. Okay? In fact, they got to add to give me negative 17. Because this is positive, that means they're going to be the same sign. Alright, so here we go. The factors of 72 are 1 and 72, 2 and 36, 3 and I believe 24. Let's see, will 4 go into that? If you're not sure if 4 will go into it, let's just check our trusty calculator. Go to menu number 1. 72 divided by 4. Yep, 18. So 4 times 18. 5 won't go into it. 6 won't go into it. Actually, 6 times 12 will. And then, of course, 8 times 9. Okay? Those are all our factors. Now, what are the only two that add up to 17? Well, the only two that add up to 17 are 8 and 9. Okay? So in this box here goes the 12x squared and the 6. And of course, since we've already found that 8 and 9 add up to 17, I'm going to put 8x and 9x here. Now, they have to add up to a negative 17, so I'm going to make them both negative. And we're going to start our process all over again. Okay? So, what does 12x squared and negative 9x have in common? Well, they both have a 3x in common. What does negative 8x and 6 have in common? Well, they both, now you got to remember, this has to be a positive 6, but both of these add up to be negative. So this is going to have to be a negative number because they're going to be the same sign. So this has to be a negative 2. Going straight across here. These 12 and 8 have a 4x in common. And in this one right here, remember this is a negative 2. So negative 2 times what gives me positive 6? Negative 3. And 9x and 6 have a negative 3 in common. So my roots, or my factors, are 4x minus 3 and 3x minus 2. So sometimes it's not always, you have to kind of look at the numbers that are given in order to figure out negative 2 times negative 3 gives me positive 6. And you can double check. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x. So you have those four components. Make sure everything fits together. And then when you put these 4x minus 3 equals 0, when you add 3, you get 4x equals 3. Divide by 4. X is equal to 3/4. Well, there's one of the roots. Same thing with the 3x minus 2. 3x minus 2 equals 0. Well, when you add the 2, you get 3x equals 2. Divide by 3, and you get x is equal to 2/3. So you have 3/4 0 and 2/3 0. So don't be afraid of fractions. Let the fractions come to you. All right, and that covers factoring.